Hi, my name's Keith Bradley, and I'm the Director of the Research Associates Program at St. Vincent's Medical Center and the National Alliance of Research Associates Programs. Your program directors and your Chief Research Associates excuse me, have been chatting with you folks for the first part of the orientation session this morning. And now you're going to be joining in with over 500 research associates at various programs in various hospitals around the country this morning, for the start of the presentation on NARAP, which leads to the tobacco cessation study that you folks will be participating in as research associates over this coming semester and for the summer and the fall semester of 2012. And on behalf of, I'd like to introduce or be on behalf of Ryan King, who is our NARAP Chief for Database, Stephanie Carroll Kowalczyk, who is our NARAP Chief for Liaison with the each of the programs around the country, and Mike Malloy, who is the NARAP Chief for Communications. Probably best to start off by defining terms. The research associates, they're pre-health college students, pre-health professional college students, and post-bacs, you folks, who volunteer 1 4-hour shift a week in the emergency department as participant identifiers and data collectors for clinical research. To break that down a little bit, right? Volunteer. I want to make sure everybody understands it's volunteer activity. It's not about pay in terms of money. We'll talk about it in a minute or two. It's about being paid in something that potentially is more valuable than money. That it's 1 4-hour shift a week in the emergency department. That is, it's a short period of time each week, done by a lot of people. In actuality, this is based on Mark Twain. You might remember the story of Tom Sawyer and the white picket fence, right? Tom Sawyer was, his Aunt Polly came out and told him he had to paint the white picket fence. It's a huge fence. Tom looked at it and goes, this is just going to take forever. I'm never going to get this done. Huck Finn walks by, says to Tom, you know, what are you doing? Tom says, I'm painting a fence. He said, Huck tells him that's too bad. Tom says, nah, it's great fun. Only special people can paint fences. And Huck Finn says, well, I'm a special person. I can paint a fence too. Tom says, great. Gets him the brush and the bucket. Huck starts doing it. Next thing you know, there's more and more friends do it. Next thing you know, all of Tom's friends are doing it. Lots and lots of kids are sitting there painting the fence. Bang, it gets done real fast. So the idea is that we're looking for research associates, lots and lots of them, in hospitals all around the country who will join us in this effort, starting with this semester. Hopefully moving on to different studies over the next 5, 6, 10 years, long time, that will have the concepts of RAs helping to facilitate primary care issues in the emergency department as a staple for those who want to prepare for the health professions, for those who want to go to medical school or other health professional schools. It's part of their preparation. So for these kinds of studies and for the studies that are being done at your own particular hospitals, we think that RAs are a tremendous resource that can help to make those kinds of studies done. So what are we looking for? We're looking for bright, motivated individuals, folks just like you, whose primary responsibility isn't clinical care, right? They're not doctors, they're not nurses, okay? They're too busy helping to take care of patients in the emergency department. They're not there for education as a resident or a medical student or a PA student, because they're there for the research. That's their primary focus. Down the road, do this well, you'll be there for the education side of things. Okay, you'll be there to ultimately help take care of patients. But as we like to say in the RA program, you crawl before you walk, before you run, right? When you're an attending physician, you get to do these things any way you want. As a resident and a medical student, you're learning. As a research associate, under the strict protocols of clinical research, You're there so that you can interact with patients in a way that is safe for you, safe for the patient, and you can enter data in a study, okay, just as you can if you're a physician or a nurse or anything else. You can ask the kinds of questions and interpret the kinds of answers that patients give you under the very strict controls of clinical research in a way that you get to work with patients in a similar manner to what you're going to do somewhere down the road as a health professional. Then we can teach you to be focused experts on the details of the research. We need lots of people, okay, who can be on site 24/7, but because that's the way research is done in the emergency department. You know, nobody seems to ever keep their appointments in the emergency department, right? They show up at all hours of the day and night. That's the way of emergency medicine. We need lots of you, and we need it because we need to be free. Quite frankly, we don't have any money to be able to pay people to do this kind of work. We need too many of you, and we need folks who can see that they can receive compensation for this work in something besides money. That they can see that being a participant in clinical research, that is working with patients directly and doing it in the research mode, is something that is of value to them for their career. So you give a little bit now, 1 4-hour shift a week, for a career of 40+ years that you'll have as a health professional. We think that that's a way that this compensation package that we have, that you potentially have as a research associate, can be of most value to you. I want you to think of these numbers. If you remember nothing of this talk that we have right now, except these numbers, you're doing pretty well, okay? Half the U.S. population goes to an emergency department every year as a patient or visitor. 4, the average number of hours there are in an emergency visit. And over 500,000, over 500,000 college students and post-bacs are thinking of going to medical school in a given year. If we could put those 3 numbers together in a way that had that put value added to those hours spent in the emergency department for this amount, for half the U.S. population, we'd be accomplishing something that could really change how we do primary health care for huge numbers of people in the United States. So who are RAs really? RAs are those who are looking for a significant research experience. Okay? This is clinical research. And have a significant clinical experience. This isn't about looking at charts. You know, this isn't about putting data into a database. This is about walking into a patient's room in the emergency department. Hi, my name's Keith Bradley. I'm the Emergency Medicine Research Associate today. I'm a college student thinking about going to medical school. I'm working with the Department of Emergency Medicine at the name of your hospital on a study about tobacco cessation efforts in the emergency department. May I ask you some questions about your tobacco use? All done on a very strict protocol, all done word for word. We'll go over all those pieces for you. But the key to it is, that's exactly how you walk into a patient's room as a health professional. Hi, my name's Keith Bradley. I'm the emergency physician here today. How can I help you? So the model is that you are moving forward in your career in a way that you're actually seeing patients. You have a specific role in the emergency department, okay? This is not about shadowing. Yes, you will see, hear, experience lots of things during your time in the emergency department, but you have a very specific role in the emergency department, and that is to enroll participants in clinical research, right? Do this real well, you get to actually play the game for real sometime down the road in your career. It's going to be an exposure to a very diverse patient population. For some of you, this is going to be a very new experience. You haven't been around people who aren't a whole lot different from you, both in age, race, in every other kind of way, socioeconomic class, every other kind of way. Folks come into the emergency department, it's an open door. Everybody can come. As a physician, as a health professional, one of the things that you are there for is for everybody. So this is a way to start your development as in speaking to and working with people who aren't like you. And you have to understand this is an evaluated clinical experience. You know, if you don't want to get evaluated in your career, right, don't go into medicine, don't go into the health professions. Because as a health professional, we are evaluated all the time. We're evaluated by our patients, first and foremost. We're evaluated by our colleagues. We're evaluated by those who are above us and those who work in positions that are staff that we are responsible for. It is an evaluated life. And part of what you'll have in this experience is you will be evaluated on how well you proceed through the program. What are the functions that RAs are able to do? First and foremost, it's enrolling participants in clinical research. You know, you don't need MD at the end of your name to be able to say to somebody, what's your telephone number? And accurately writing that down. Historical information. Use the tobacco example. Have you smoked cigarettes? Yes, no. I mean, those are questions you can ask for clinical research, and again, you don't have to have initials at the end of the name to do that, and do it well. We have had studies where we had actually trained research associates to do things like examine ankles. We did an ankle study looking at the ability of a particular device, a cold compression device, to squeeze ice water in a bladder around an injured ankle to see if it changed the exam for somebody who had an ankle injury to decide whether they need x-rays or not. We actually trained research associates how to examine somebody's ankle. Now, I'll be honest with you, they knew everything there was to know about an ankle. They knew about the anatomy, how injuries happen, the pathophysiology of it, what x-rays look like. Didn't know much about the knee, not a whole lot about the hip, but they knew everything there was to know about the ankle. So it was a very focused area of expertise that we wanted them to have. Informed consent. As you will hear from your programs about informed consent and about the ethics and about confidentiality, key issues in research. But again, part of this is you have to see the benefit for you in each part of what we do in the program. And for this, for example, very commonly in interviews, you have to understand that if you list this as part of your experiences in coming to a health professional school application, you have to be able to respond to questions about this. But wouldn't it be nice to say, when they say, well, you know, tell us about an ethical issue that you've had to deal with, and you have the specific examples how you've enrolled 100, 150 participants in a particular research study and had to go through the informed consent process. How you understood about confidentiality as a key factor in maintaining patients' trust with what you hear from them. Those are the kinds of things, not by direct experience rather than by reading it in a book. Very important to understand, you're there to facilitate, you're here with your program to facilitate the research. Ultimately, it is the responsibility for the research lies with the investigators, right? It lies with the people who are directing the study itself. But I can tell you that the kind of research that we are looking to accomplish in what you will be participating with this coming semester cannot be done any other way than having research associates and having you folks with us as colleagues in developing and enrolling the participants in the research. So what's it like? Well, this is Hava Freund. Hava was one of our chief research associates, but this was her when she was a line RA. Has a shirt, uniform shirt, right? We like the idea that they're green shirts. Some places have different colors, but basically green shirts. We like the idea that someday down the road, people who come to the emergency department will kind of expect that there'll be a pre-health professional college student who will be coming up to them in the emergency department and making their time valuable. At St. Vincent's, we've used a harness that you see here and a computer that's in this, kind of like a xylophone, okay? And basically comes in, all the information on the study is on the computer. right? It's there, and we have it specifically set up so that you can read the information you want to give to the patient so that they can answer those questions back to you. That it's very important to understand, we don't want you to memorize things. We don't want you to ad lib. We don't want you to decide to take it on your own as to how best to do this. We want you to do it exactly as we ask. But, excuse me, that's because that's clinical research. Okay? Do it the same way every time. See what that result is. You can expect that same result if it's done in a different population. What do you have to do to be a research associate? Well, you started off the first part here, right? Participating in the training and orientation. You're with us for the weekend. And you volunteer 1 4-hour shift a week for the academic semester. You're going to receive evaluations by the RA program and staff about how you interact with patients, how well you follow the research protocol, and we mean by that literally word for word, and how accurate you are in data collection. All things that mirror how you would be evaluated as a health professional later on in your career. So hey, I think everybody's got to see this as a win-win. Okay? Who wins in this? Well, the research is done effectively and efficiently, and it minimizes impact on patient care because it's done by people who are not the clinicians and not the teachers who are so busy taking care of patients and teaching the medical students and residents. Okay? It's done by somebody else. It's done by research associates. You get clinical exposure and research experience that I'm going to offer is really not available in many other types of settings currently in the United States, in the emergency department or anywhere else. This is pretty unique kind of thing. Based on this model, there are about 40 programs around the country that have something similar to this, but there are literally thousands of potential research associates who are not doing, or college students, but they're not doing what you're doing. So you're in a pretty unique situation. And your advisor gets this guaranteed evaluated experience, some way to actually decide if you are the kind of person who should be there down the road working with patients as a healthcare professional. We in the health professions, it's like a big sorority and fraternity. And in a way, we have a vested interest in having the best people working with patients who come to us and follow in our footsteps, follow where we've been, go to greater heights, take care of patients way better, even better, all the time getting better. And we think that's really, really important. And most of all, the participants in the research and the future patients have the potential for improved care. I mean, that's the bottom line, right? It's can we do the research which shows a better way to help patients get clinical care, to have better health care, to ultimately have a better life through the research that we do, through the clinical research that anybody does, but particularly for us, about facilitating primary health care issues for a large percentage of the U.S. population through the emergency department. Process pretty simple. We've gone out and recruited you, okay, to your programs, mostly because you're at schools that are close to the hospital where you are this semester. But nationally, people will be coming from all over the country to your program. You're here for the orientation sessions that talk about the basis of clinical research, ethical issues, safety stuff, and, as we're doing right now, the particulars on the data collection for each of the studies. So what's the background? Well, we've been doing this since 1994, and the program model is now used at St. Vincent's. This program model, this kind of research model, is used at and developed in different places around the country, about 40 plus programs now that use RAs. From this program model, however, started at Lincoln in the South Bronx in 1994. We've enrolled over 40,000 participants in various studies, 22 studies by over 1,000 research associates. And our research focus is on the emergency department as a place to facilitate primary healthcare screening. I want to say just a word about your chief research associates, okay? They are your program director's assistants. They're involved in the recruiting, personnel management, scheduling, website data management. They do the work. They are the key cogs in how to make this all happen. And they're going to be your first port of call for line RAs on shift issues. The key for this is that I want you to understand that it's not just, here we're going to show you how to do it, we're going to toss you out into the emergency department, good luck. We hope everything works well. No, you have backup there for you at all times that you can contact for questions and issues, and that'll be going over very carefully. So we had the program at St. Vincent's, and we said, wow, you know, this has been pretty successful. And now we want to bring this to a national level. We want to see if we can have RA programs at multiple hospitals around the country doing a research clinical consortium. Our goal specifically is on the emergency department as a site to facilitate primary health care, but within your own program, your program directors, your section of research will have other studies that they want you to be on, and that's terrific. We want to see this as building a research model. Literally tens of thousands of participants enrolled in clinical studies over very short time periods in a way that no other, I mean, there really is no other way to make that happen. And that the NARAP programs also down the road for you need chief RAs. So those of you who are line RAs right now may want to think in the future that if you're going to do a year or more between college and medical school, college and health professional school, that look to your chief RAs and see to yourself, you know, maybe that's a way that could really jumpstart, really kickstart my career and move it forward in a way that's pretty unique. So we've gone to hospitals all around the country. Right now, 14 hospitals that are with us in this effort and growing all the time. We think there are going to be even more programs that are going to be involved with us. And we look to see this as something that grows into a national movement. It's kind of our mantra. The watch ER on TV and guess what it's like, or be a research associate in the emergency department and know. There is a saying, though, that we have in the emergency department that I think is really key. And that is that the motto of the emergency department is, the goal of the emergency medicine research associates program is have fun. You gotta have fun, right? You have to see if this is something that for you, being a health professional for the next 40 years of your career, is this something that's fun? Is it fun for you to walk into a patient's room and see what you can do to help their either healthcare problem or help to prevent or screen for a problem in their future? And that interaction with patients is such a special one. But it's not for everybody. You need to take this opportunity to see as many patients and visitors as you possibly can, enroll them in the clinical research, find out what that patient interaction is like, find out if this is something for you. And if it is, it's a great career. Can't think of anything that's more fun. And the converse, however, is also true. If this isn't something that you know, when you at the end of the day see, it's not for me, that can be just as valuable as finding out that going on to medicine or one of the health professions is for you. So we want you to take that opportunity. Following this talk, what we're going to have is and between each of the talks that we had this morning for you, there's going to be a brief break that you're going to get to go, you know, stand up, walk around, do what you got to do. Come back when your chief RAs tell you that it's time to start again, because it'll start very much, we have a tight schedule, it'll start pretty much on time. And then at the end of each of the sessions, we'll also, during that break, come up with your questions. There's going to be a chief research associate or myself, one of the NARAP chiefs or myself, who'll be manning the phones. If you have a question, you'll be sending them to us. We'll be answering those questions directly to you in your program. You know, we have these kind of talks. We've done this now every semester for 18 years with RAs in the St. Vincent's model, and each time it's kind of an interesting and wonderful time. A lot of people, it's the first part of their career that they're going to see patients. That's pretty exciting. And what we want to do today, at the end of the day, all told, we want you to get excited about this stuff. We want you to get fired up, because we're really fired up about the potential that you all have to change healthcare, to provide healthcare in the long term for large numbers of people in the U.S. population, and to have those who are good with patients demonstrate their ability about how well they can take care of patients, and have that as a major part of their application towards medical school or health professional school. So thanks a lot. I'm going to end here for a bit. I'm going to come back. We're going to have a talk on the tobacco cessation, which is the study that you're going to be involved with this semester. Then we're going to go over the particulars of the science behind the studies that we're going to be doing, followed by a talk by Ryan King on REDCap, the data collection system that you use, and then a video that our Chief Research Associates at St. Vincent's put together, which helps you to learn about how to be a good RA and the things to avoid in being a bad RA. So again, look forward to seeing you back in a couple minutes. Thanks a lot.